Hello and welcome to Versus. I am back once again to shed my light and experience on others. Today I have a I guess not very special, but a good matchup here. And I know I've already used one of these. So let's just get started with Mirror's Edge Catalyst versus Dying Light. And yeah, I know I've already used Dying Light, but we can always reuse things. I mean, come on. I used Destiny twice now, to a lot of people's disappointment. So let's get started with category number 1. And category number 1 is, of course, graphics. And Mirror's Edge Catalyst boasts some very, very good graphics. I mean, stellar graphics. I love the graphical quality. There really is no difference between how would you say, gameplay and cinematic. A lot of it just transfers over. I know the reflections kind of look weird, and far away people kind of look like stick figures, but most of everything just looks beautiful. Everything looks great. And they really designed the city well to look like a futuristic city that is plausible. I know they call it the Glass City, but there isn't actually a lot of glass in it. So yeah, the graphics in Mirror's Edge Catalyst are really good. I really enjoy all the graphical quality that they tried to put into this game. That being said, Dying Light, their graphics, I mean, they're really good as well. And the one thing about Dying Light is that they had to have all this blood animation and stuff that made the game look a lot better. And if they didn't have that, I don't think I would have given the game an 8 out of 10 like I did. The one thing about Dying Light that looks exceptionally well is just the landscape and like I mentioned, the decapitating enemies and cutting off their limbs just looks so fantastic. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. So all in all, between the two games, they both kind of tie in the graphics category because they both look really good. They have minor things that could have been improved eventually. But really, all in all, I think they both kind of tie each other. Because I really don't have anything to compare the blood and guts thing to in Mirror's Edge because there's really none of that. Actually, there's none at all. So I'm gonna go off the core graphics, and both games look stellar. So that's why they both get a point in the graphics department. Category number 2 is free running. This is a big thing for both these games. I know zombies are kind of played out nowadays and blah blah blah, but Dying Light had a great free running system which really made the game different than other games in the past. It's not like Left 4 Dead where it's just kind of run around and shoot things. It's not like Resident Evil where it's more of a this surreal experience. It's not like all these other games that include zombies in them. This one has another dimension, which is the free running, and the free running is very excellent in the game. It works pretty well. After you get the grappling hook, you really don't need to worry about free running much anymore, which is unfortunate because I loved doing the free running and running around, but the grappling hook just makes it so much faster. It's kind of like in Assassin's Creed Syndicate when you get the grappling hook. It eliminates the need for climbing because you can just and you go right up. So that's one of the things that kind of bothers me a lot about the free running games is they add these gadgets in that make everything too easy, and then it's just like you're zipping around, you don't even need them. As for Mirror's Edge, it also has actually has probably one of the best free running systems I've seen since the original game, and the smoothness and the ability to just kind of run where you want to is really great. They do add gadgets in this one, but they more or less just help you get to the new areas. Like the grappling hook, you just swing on something, and it's like, hey, you're in the next area for free running. And then the thing to pull down items is like, oh, that opens up a new way to go through, and that's pretty much all that's used for. There's really no practical use in the free running category, other than like trying to get places faster. But it's not as heavily, it's not as heavily short. It's not as big of a shortcut as using the grappling hook in Dying Light. And the upgrades and stuff you can get for free running really help you out. In the original Mirror's Edge, you kind of had everything unlocked before, but this one you had to kind of earn a few of them. So things like doing the ball jump, where you kind of tuck your legs and when you jump over something, or doing a wall run, double wall run, or something like that. You know, those are things you have to earn, and they all work very well. They make the free running experience a lot better. So that's why the point for free running goes to Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Category number 3 is weapons. Weapons and fighting style, and I'm combining these two because Mirror's Edge doesn't really have any weapons in it. Mirror's Edge is they focus mainly on the running, but the combat is this hand-to-hand combat that works. It works, but it doesn't work as fluently as I wanted it to. Even though I didn't really take any points off for it because it is drastically better than the gunplay that was in the first game. You know, the fist fighting can get a little boring at times, but you don't have to do it. You're only forced to fist fight probably 3 out of the 16 some levels, and the only need for fist fighting in the free running areas, the free roam areas, is pretty much just to do the interventions, or just kind of if you really want to beat up a group of C-Sec. So like I said, the fighting leaves a lot to be desired, but it is better than the game's fighting style, and really that's all to it. That's all there is to it. You got a few different moves you can do, like a heavy hit, a soft hit. You can upgrade and get new things like pulling the enemy behind you, or heavier damage on the bigger enemies. As for Dying Light, the combat style and the weapons are very well varied. There's a crafting system, so you can make mods for weapons and stuff, and use them to kill zombies more efficiently. What do you know? Also, the variety of weapons, especially after getting the following DLC, goes up tenfold. Even though I didn't enjoy the following DLC at all, the weapons were still one of my favorite things from that. And the weapons, I mean, there's just so many to choose from. Everything from scythes to the swords to assault rifles. And no, the gunplay is not very good in this game. It's borderline boring, and actually awkward to use. But at least you don't have to use it. Pretty much through the whole game, you don't have to use it until there's a choke point at the end of the campaign. As for there's really no well, I guess there's a few moves for hand-to-hand combat you can unlock, being able to grapple zombies and push them into things, if there's barbed wire nearby, you can push them into those. Using electrical traps and stuff like that by pressing a button is also upgradable. Same thing with jumping over enemies and then slamming down on them. So all in all, I think the weapons and fighting style for Dying Light definitely is better and more varied than Mirror's Edge. I just wish Mirror's Edge had done a little bit more to make the combat style more like the free running, where it's a little bit more fluid, and there weren't the choke points that you have to do it in. So that's why Dying Light gets the point in category number 3. Category number 4 is map. And when you want to talk about a map for a free running game, you want to make sure that there's a lot of things set up for you to do the free running. And Mirror's Edge Catalyst does that for you. It gives you multiple ways you can go to get to an objective. There's plenty of different cool things that you can use through unlocks and stuff like that that will help you traverse the area quite efficiently. And there's multiple areas you can get to. So the first area is kind of like a basic rooftop area, kind of like in the first game, like the first levels of the first game, where it's just okay, you have a straight path, you know how to get there. And as you go on, you kind of get to, there's an area that's closer to the ground, there's a construction site, there's higher skyscrapers, there's a rich person district that's pretty cool to run around, and every area has its own feel and its own style to it. And that's why I think Mirror's Edge Catalyst gives you really that unique feeling all throughout the game. It's not just stale throughout the whole thing, like a lot of other games that try to do the open world area stuff. I loved Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor, but both the areas that you got were practically the same, and it was a little bit boring halfway through the campaign when you switched through it. At least in Mirror's Edge, the two areas are actually not two, but there's 4 areas that are drastically different, and they open up lots of opportunity for free run, which is the main focus of this game. And in Dying Light, they kind of did the same thing with the two areas. There's a slums area that's kind of like a suburb, and it's got a little city in there, but no really tall buildings or anything like that. Lots of open ground, but also lots of areas to run through. Unfortunately, there's only seems to be like one course you can take throughout the whole thing. I've been playing the game since it came out, and I've taken the same path to the locations that it wants me to go to every single time because there's really no better way to get there. And then when you get through about half the campaign, you go to the city, the actual city, and it changes from, hey, everything's kind of close to the ground, to, hey, these things are skyscrapers and buildings and tall buildings and stuff like that. Sure, there's still an area to run around at the bottom of every building, but there's really no need to. Plus, there's so many zombies, you might as well just kill yourself. And I do like the variation, and I do like everything that they tried to do with the town. But unfortunately, I didn't really enjoy going around the town because, like just with the slums, there's really no variation. There is one set path that you should go on because it's the fastest path. There's no way to get around any faster like in Mirror's Edge. So that's why in the map category, Mirror's Edge wins. Next up is category number 5, which is story. And Mirror's Edge Catalyst has an interesting story through most of it. I think it only really got a little bit boring or a little bit cliche towards the end. And what I liked about the campaign, it kind of keeps you in the dark about a lot of the characters. And if you haven't played the first one, you're going to be kind of missing out a lot on this one. So it really plays off of that first game. Of course, you have your normal people from the last game like Noah and the Birdman, and of course Faith, who's the main character. But you also have some new characters like Icarus and Plastic and Isabel, who is a main protagonist in the story, they show up and they're really good characters, they're really well fleshed out. And the thing I really, really enjoyed about the story in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, it doesn't shove gender equality down your throat. It makes every character kind of equal, unlike a lot of games nowadays where it kind of throws in, women or men into roles that they're, not usually into in these games, and it just feels awkward. Like, Battlefield. Battlefield 4 had this really weird campaign setting where a Chinese operative who was female entered into your team, and it just didn't feel right because you're fighting the Chinese. And I feel like they really just, I don't know, it was just a weird, very weird vibe to it. Same thing with the Metro series. The female role in that one was just kind of forced in there for a love plot, and it's like, if you want to be truly equal, look at Mirror's Edge Catalyst, because it made pretty much all the main characters female, except for except for the few men. I guess that's a stupid statement, but it made them not just the cliche kind of big boob chested women that you see in most games. They made them solid members of the team who actually help and do a lot of things on their own. As for Dying Light, the story is kind of weird. I didn't really enjoy the second half of the story. After you get past the first part with the slums, you go to the town because the girl you're interested in, of course, runs away after her brother is killed, and it's this weird love story that really should not have happened. Also, it's the whole focal point of the second half of the campaign, which is stupid because it's just stupid. You get it. It's stupid. And the ending of the campaign is just kind of like a bleh moment. It's just a bunch of quick time events, and if you don't get them right, you get thrown off the building or whatever. And originally I thought they were going to do something different by not killing the main villain, but of course they did it at the end. They kind of tickled your balls there, thinking that Crane was going to let him live, and then all of a sudden it was like, nope, fuck you. So that's why Mirror's Edge wins it in the story category as well. Category number 6 is side missions, and Mirror's Edge Catalyst has a lot of side missions, but it's kind of like, I guess I'll compare it to a Lego game, where you do have side missions, but a lot of them are the same. Like, you have the dashes, there's like 50 of those. You have deliveries, there's a good amount of those. There's billboards to hack and interventions to do and stuff like that. But it's all kind of the same. You have to run to point A to point B in the amount of time given. The cool thing about it, though, is the path that they give you isn't always the best path. So if you're going to be going on a run, a dash, and you get there just in the nick of time for 3 stars, or I'm sorry, for 1 star, because it's a longer path, you might want to go back and retrace your steps and see if there's a faster way to get there. And there usually always is. I know that I've done a few dashes now where I've just kind of like, I've let the timer go and I've just kind of gone different ways to see where they take me, and I've gotten to the place I wanted to get to faster in the end. So it gives you that choice. It's not an illusion of choice, it's an actual choice, and that's what I really like about the side missions in this game, even though they are a lot of the same thing over and over and over again. As for Dying Light, there are a few interesting side missions inside of the game. There aren't too many, though. There's one with Ghazi where you have to get a medication, which is always a fun one. There's one where a guy needs to build a wall of fire around his building, so you go to pumping stations and you transverse the gas flow to his place and it just explodes in his face. There's a few other side quests that are forgettable, but all in all, they all are different and they all have their own kind of vibe to them. And not really side missions, but collectibles are in this game as well. There's just letters, trophies you can pick up, and written notes that you can pick up that are just, they're eh. And all in all, I don't think there was enough side missions in the game. I know there's ones that poke up for challenges, but I don't really consider those all that different from Mirror's Edge thing, because they all kind of feel the same. You use a weapon, you kick some zombies' asses, and then it's like, hey, you completed it. And all in all, I think the choice that Mirror's Edge gives you is a lot better than the straightforward path that Dying Light gives you, even though I do enjoy a lot of the Dying Light side missions. But I think Mirror's Edge definitely takes the cake in the side missions category. So, as we stand, Mirror's Edge has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Dying Light has 2 points. And category number 7 is overall satisfaction. And I think both these games have very satisfying experiences to them. Especially Mirror's Edge, for me, was a really great experience. I'm not sure if I'm going to go for the platinum on it. It's going to be a lot of work and finding. I think I'll do it eventually, but I think I'm going to take a break for now. As for Dying Light, I got really close to that as well. It's really hard to find a group of people who want to stay for 7 missions, or I think the Rice's Men trophy glitched for me, and that's just kind of disheartening because you're so close. But all in all, both games really good. If you haven't picked them up and you like a more freestyle running game, definitely pick them up. If you like a zombie game that has crafting in it, definitely gonna like Mirror's Edge. Dying Light more. If you like a game with more freedom for running around and doing missions and side missions, then you should definitely pick up Mirror's Edge Catalyst. So thank you for listening. This is Versus, a thing that I put together here on the Rant channel. Also, we have 5-minute reviews, which Robert puts together. And he does a really good job with those, puts a lot of information into a short amount of time. Very good, Joe. Check those out. There's also gameplay streams. Every weekend we usually run a game, either together or Robert does one by himself. Those are always on the channel, just to kind of be there, so you can go and check those out. They're like 2 to 3 hours long each, so grab some popcorn, or join us live. And then also, there's a new series on here called Tips and Tricks, where Robert gives you some good old tricks for beating bosses and getting trophies. And I think that's about it for this channel. I do have a main channel myself, one that I do weekly. I upload weekly. It's called Jar's Opinion. I have video game reviews. I have gameplay videos. I have my own podcast that I do. And I have Left 4 Dead series and all this fun stuff on there. I upload weekly. So if you want to, you can check that out as well. So, in conclusion, if you want to like this video, give it a like. Maybe even add it to your favorites. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. Or subscribe if you want to. If you didn't like the video, leave a dislike. Like to know how we're doing. And if you do dislike the video, I will compare you to a Goomba.